Sweet. I can just ring him then and we can just go straight into it anyway, innit?
Yo, cut the mics back on.
Yeah, I'm gonna need.
Put the mics on.
I'm gonna.
That wasn't even the right melody.
Yeah, I came in with.
I'm trying to think how I'm not gonna be able to.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm not gonna be able to monitor from here. I don't think. Just don't want to be in your camera.
Pull up a chair.
No, I should be fine. Let's stick it at number 3. yeah, it sounds well crisper through there. Bloody hell, that's sweet, that.
This is just literally how I want to hear live. Just
Nice.
this high definition.
Except some people try and bear shit.
Alright,
This is recording anyway, boys. Yeah, it's
cool.
recording,
So
man.
I'll press record on
Hit
there.
record on there.
Yo, does everyone have ringtones or is it just me?
Hello.
Yo, what you saying, my G?
Yo, how you doing? I'm good, bro. How you doing?
I'm good. We had some tech issues.
I know, look at you sounding professional.
What, you're back?
Yeah, we're back. It's just not live streaming right now.
Okay.
But it'll go back up.
You know how many people I'm on the phone with?
It's just me and Sign today.
Yo.
Spot on. You good?
Yeah, I'm blessed. Are yourself?
Oh, man, yeah, I'm chilling, man. Just boiling. Mountain out here.
Yeah, bro, we're in the studio. It's hot and sweaty.
Is it real hot in there? Yeah, hot box.
Hot box, G.
Got a hot box, yeah.
Alright, but yeah, we wanted to bring you in to chat to you because we want to start letting people that kind of don't see anything to do with the creative industry get like an insight into what it's like to be a creative, and highlighting some like great things that people are doing. So we wanted to get you in to talk about building relationships in the industry mainly.
Yeah.
Because obviously you did the tour with TDE, shooting J-Rock. But before we get into that, firstly, can you just introduce yourself to everyone and give a little brief background into what you do?
So I'm Jobe, 25-year-old photographer in Birmingham. Mostly been shooting portraits at the beginning, and then took a little detour once I started to see that my work fitted really well in the music industry, and I got a lot of attention really quick, and it just kind of felt right from there. Yeah,
it's cool. So I know you from shooting like a lot of club stuff.
Yeah.
So how did you like start from going and doing like your portraits into getting into the club scene?
The club thing was like there's a lot of money in it, so it was the best suited for making money on the weekend, like a little extra cash in the pocket. Great way for networking, meeting people, other creatives that are out and about, and it just put you on the scene. You know, it put you on the scene in the best way because it's in person, it's not online, and you just get to communicate, meet so many different people. You know.
Yeah, no, I hear that because I've obviously used you're like the main shooter for Moho. And then is that from doing Moho, is that how you linked up with Dark Circle, or did you already know like the guys at Dark Circle?
Nah, so when I first started out taking photos when I was about 16, 17, I hit up George, who works at Dark Circle, and George Davis, who's obviously another sick photographer from Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I hit him up just to say, yo, I want to get into like what you're doing and how you're doing it, like with the same sort of industry. And he was like, oh, well, anytime I've got a shoot, like, I'm going to hit you up and you can come along, like, ask me any questions to see how I do, like, meet people that are about. And that's how I got involved with those guys. Like, George kind of took me under his wing.
Yeah,
man.
That's lit because I don't know what, obviously, I've not been in Birmingham from like the age of 18, like living there. So I don't really know what the creative scene is like in Birmingham, but I know in Manny we've got that energy where a lot of creatives like are helping each other out and it's like quite easy to network with them. Is that what the scene is like in Birmingham at the moment or has been?
At the moment, obviously we know the world, how it's going.
Yeah.
But I think at the moment I would say that it's getting better. Like, even though there's not a lot happening, I think after everything that everyone's been through in the last 8 months or whatever, like everyone's kind of become more open to each other. You know, like understanding that there's more of a togetherness in this and like wanting to bounce and wanting to work and like understanding that sharing is the real value. And you know what I mean, we're all, you know, everyone can share and like pull something out of this together. But before, I don't know if it felt like that. It kind of felt sometimes a little bit dog, like, you know, doggish in some senses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it felt small, like a pocket in a sense. Everyone was in their own little world. Although, like, trying to think outside of that was, I think everyone's objective. Everyone had the same objective, but still kind of sometimes didn't aim for that higher self, you know?
Yeah, especially as well.
but
See that.
yeah,
Especially as well when it's like obviously like you mentioned that George brought you in and was like helping you, letting you come in and help out on shoots. Where it's like a lot of people will be like, I don't really. They'll see you as like the competition, so they're like, I'm not really trying to show you everything. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it is good to have people like that in the industry that
Like
kind of
that,
help,
yeah, for
that,
sure.
that are there to help you and stuff.
I mean, the best thing about it is like you kind of have to give the energy you want to reciprocate. So, you know, I know now, like I would happily if someone approached me now that was younger, like give them a hand because that's how I was shown how to do it. You know, like it kind of, you know, feeding me that energy is kind of made me want to give that energy to someone else now. You know, you kind of pass it down.
That's such a good energy as well.
Yeah.
A lot happens with that.
Yeah.
I'll butt in with a question.
Mm.
From that, what did you learn that like switched gears for you at that time? Like going into photography, because I know so many people like who have the idea of going into photography, but they don't get any further than they buy that first camera and that first lens, and then they take a few pictures of people they know. Like, what did you learn that took you above that step when you started meeting the other people around you in that community?
For me, the thing that made me go a bit further, I think it was just expression. It was something that, like, if you know you're if you're an artistic person, you probably have quite a lot of emotion and stuff going on personally. And I always feel like the camera or like any form of expression, like artistic expression, was always that. It was like an outlet, and I think it was like therapeutic at the beginning. So that would have been the reason I kept with it for so long.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
that's strong.
Was that like? Was it more like a consistency thing? Then it was like you was doing it because of the love of it and like getting as you said, like your expressions out. But it was kind of like the more you was consistent with it, and the more you was doing it, the more kind of small like wins that you would see along the way that kept you going.
Yeah, there's like the material wins, like obviously getting payment and then meeting people, the experiences. But then there's also the learning aspect of it too. Also gives you a real good satisfaction, you know, like fulfillment. Because there's never a point with it that you can stop learning.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn. So it's always like pushing the boundary and always wanting to try something different. That was almost like a reward in itself, you know, just being creative with it, like fluid.
Yeah, that's true. And you can use that mentality for any aspect in life as well.
Yeah, it crosses over. Man.
So fast forwarding, yeah. Like how did you end up on tour with TDE and shooting the J-Rock stuff? Because like from going from like the club stuff that we mentioned, where you was doing stuff on the side from and working with George at Dark Circle, like what was the journey from there to going on tour with TDE? How did like you end up getting that job?
It's a pretty cool story, to be fair. Like
I'm ready for this.
The way it kind of goes back though. It goes back to like 17. I was working at the H&B Institute, going to gigs and just going to all these concerts. Always wanted to do the tour stuff, like from around that age. And actually at the Kendrick Lamar concert, me, George, and Aaron were all there.
Yeah.
And we never knew each other at the time. I think George and Aaron had met on that night, something like that. And like at the Kendrick concert, and it was something I would have wanted from them. But
That's it.
like every couple of years after that, it was like something kind of happened that related to that goal that like started making things fall in place. So a few years later, I met some some people from TDE while they're in Birmingham through Dark, and they showed us loads of love. Like, you know, got to exchange, like, talk, exchange details, keep in touch. And then the recent contact with them came, but actually not through the last time that I met them, but just through emails.
Okay.
Like chasing up these and sending emails. I must have sent like 20 or so emails in like November,
Yeah.
trying to get this kind of work. Maybe more, man, 50 or something like that. Just hitting up, like, writing a mailing list for artists from TDE, writing all their management, and just coming at it from different angles, trying to show them I could deliver on it. And then, you know, it's just waiting for one of those emails to get picked up.
What was that? What was that? Sorry to cut in. What was that process like? Because I know that all of us that are creatives have been there, where we're sending out emails and not having any reply back.
Trying to
and
think
like,
of that approach.
Yeah, like what was that process like? Because you said that you sent like about 20 emails. Was that like
probably more?
Was that like
Probably a lot more.
What kind of like mind frame was you in? Was it kind of like I know
probability? I knew as long as there was a probability. Because for me before that, it was about just being on the radar. So if I could get myself in front of people, just not even having my work in front of them, but having my name seen or mentioned like through Instagram, that was enough for me to know that if they see my name again, they can make the connection. So it's when I knew I could turn up on their radar a few times. If they've seen my name a few times, like after the second or third time they've seen it, they're going to go, "What's going on here? Like this is reoccurring." Yeah. And then they start to inquire a bit more about you, but like you've been inquiring to them the whole time.
Yeah.
So then it just becomes two people inquiring about each other. You know, wanting to know like I want to know what you know, they want to know what you're trying to give to them. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That put me in the game energy. I need that.
It's probability. Probability does play like a big part for sure. Like when you know that, you just consistency after that is the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was it like? What dates did you actually do on the TDE tour? Like, what cities did you go to? Did you do all of them, or was it just a couple?
I got the invite for all of them, but I ended up just doing the UK.
Oh shit! So they actually invited you to go and do the.
Yeah. I did consider as well doing some of the European shows, but just like some other things like crossed over and whatnot. So I just took the UK experience for like foot in the water.
Just, I love how you said that. Just like, hey, let me just do the UK tour, dip my toe into it. let's just play it safe to begin with. Like, build up the energy small. Don't rush into things here. So that was the approach. Yeah, I mean, like, was that your first proper tour like that as well?
Yeah, like, I mean, if you mean like overnight and getting on the bus and all that, like, yeah.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that because. That must be like a draining, like exciting, but like also a draining experience when you go from, okay, like I'm doing a shoot and say like your shoot's a couple of hours or whatever, but now you're essentially on job 24/7.
Is that what it felt like? Did it feel like 24/7 job?
Yeah, I had my camera in my hand like the whole time. It was like it wasn't just me that was on go all the time. Like everyone in the team is like so on point, but I think everyone was enjoying what they were doing too much to even notice that they were working. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like work. That's part of like the blessing of it, the beauty of it. Like everyone around you is just enjoying what they're doing. You know, that's why they're doing it. Yeah.
That's strong.
But it was it's exciting because of everyone you meet and you're traveling. But then it's like, it's intense. It's a lot, you know, taking photos constantly, having them ready by the end of the day, getting them emailed over by the end of the day.
Oh, did they need to be doing that quickly as well?
They probably didn't, but I did.
No, that's cool. You set yourself a work.
I mean, like, that's the thing, because I know that it could be quite easy to, when you're touring with them, you're on the bus, it could be quite easy to fall into like this is almost like a holiday mode. I'm chilling with like a group of cool people that I get on with, rather than like, okay, I'm here for work. Like, as you said, you was making sure everything was edited, sent through for the next day. yeah, that was kind of like my question there. It was like, but obviously you said that that was more your mentality than like that's what was expected.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm gonna ask the same question I asked earlier again.
Okay.
What you go on the tour comes to an end. We're probably gonna go back to this bit, but like tour comes to an end. How long were you in this for?
So it's 4 days. So we went from London and travelled up England, and then they head off for Europe. So we did London, Birmingham, Manchester.
Yeah, I was in Manchester
Yeah.
actually.
Bro,
Whoa, you know
Yeah.
the world just connects
nah,
dots.
yeah, because you hit. I remember because you hit me up and you was like, "Yo, I'm shooting TDE in Manny
that
tonight.
day.
Are you active?"
Wanna
And I
come
was,
through?
but I was in Brum that night.
World connecting
Oh, yeah.
dots.
I was in
yeah,
Brum.
yeah.
I was playing in Brum, and I was pissed.
I was
Yeah.
at that gig as well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. That's strong.
Sick.
So at the end of that, you go like sigh of relief. That's a real thing that happened, and you take it all in.
hmm
What do you feel like you learnt from that? That you're like, oh, that's
You don't.
also
You
changed
almost
his-
don't process it at the time.
Yeah,
You know, it's like a shock. I
it
think I
sounds
saw
like one
some
of those
friends in
things where
Birmingham. Yeah, you process it afterwards. You're like, well, that actually just happened then. But I'm like thinking about it now. Like it hits you like a wave, man. But what did I learn from the whole experience?
like before you went into it on that. Let's call it day 0, the day where like you're getting all your camera equipment
You know,
together.
you go
in
on
the
holiday,
bag
you
and
meet all
all
these
of that.
like new friends, like
And then like you go into meet
you know,
them.
you
And
build
then
a relationship
day
with them.
4
and you
or
have a good time,
morning of day 5
and then
where
you
you're
get back and
unpacking
you're like,
all of that
whoa,
when you get
like
home.
that was like
On that day 5, what did you
one
go?
experience again. That's what the feeling was
I've
like.
definitely changed gears
Yeah.
in this
Sticking
way.
on that, like building
I think
relationships.
I can compare it to that
'cause
feeling when you get off
obviously
holiday
in our industry,
and you're
it's
like,
kind of like
you want to go
the
back
relationship
straight away.
very
Yeah,
important. Yeah,
you're like,
work
damn, back
sometimes.
here now.
So
Yeah,
like,
it was like that
is
feeling.
it,
It's
are
the
they
exact same
somebody
feeling.
that you can like quite easily reach out to now that you've worked with them? Like, what was the process of? Do you still keep in contact with them?
Yeah. Keep in contact with a lot of people from it, man. Like B's the one that brought me through, and like he does for a lot of people. I've seen he helps out so many people, like rappers, creatives. He gives them all like an opportunity. They're real open to working with people. But the mentality before going in is you think of them as something, you know, beyond yourself. You know, that you're not capable, and then you're there with them and you're like, wait, I'm with them. I'm as capable as them too. So, you know, the fact that I'm here,
Yeah.
you know, and that's when you go, but they're just like me. They're just a person who's worked hard at something and they got to where they are, you know.
Yeah,
That's so
I can
true.
imagine as well, like when you're around somebody that's kind of got to up to like a level where a lot of like aspiring artists achieve to get to, you kind
Yeah.
of see the difference in the drive and how they work compared to like some of maybe like some up and coming artists would work that you might shoot with or like we might know. Like,
Yeah.
is that like an apparent difference where you're like, yo, you can see massively like the way that they work is completely different to
Yeah.
the way I've seen
I was
other artists work.
focusing. I did analyze like a lot of the way they work, just to. But I feel like that so much of that doesn't come to just work ethic, but just the environment, like their environment. You know, has given them that drive, like helped them to feel that way, which is the best thing because you're almost seeing like a culture difference in just work ethic. That's what you're looking at, you know. Yeah, but that's an interesting thing to look at.
Okay.
That's so strong because like someone who's I will always class myself as a like entry level novice into the creative world, even though I've been like doing stuff for a couple of years now, different, like all sorts of different things I've been doing. It's the that imposter syndrome when you mentioned like, yo, I'm in this room with all of these people.
Yeah.
What the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like that question you ask yourself, I definitely was like the pupil to that teacher there, and only very recently have been like what you've said, that light bulb of like consistency and like being out there and those connections as that hit home. So it's so sick to hear like how deep that goes.
Yeah.
So you know, like obviously we was talking about before where you shot with Dark Circle and Moho and things like that. To get in the call, you said that this was the first like proper tour that you did. What was like, you like from getting the call and being like, yo, we're going to do this, you're going to shoot the UK tour. In your head, what was your like thing like, shit, okay, cool, I've never done this before. What's the logistics? How am I going to set it up? Did you have to think of all of that yourself? Like, okay, I'm going to be in this environment, so what kind of equipment am I going to need? Or was there like an itinerary kind of set, almost like, okay, cool, you're going to be doing this, this, and this, and it's easy to figure out from there?
I approach it the same way I approach most things, like in terms of logistics when it comes to equipment and whatnot and itinerary. I'm like I guess what they call them, backpack rappers. Every day I'm out. Yeah, my studio's in my bag, like with me every day anyway. Like wherever I go, my camera, my laptop is in my bag, just in case I want to jump on it. I see something I want to take a photo of. Yeah, so I literally approached it with that. It was like, cool, backpack, and I'm there and I'm doing it.
Okay, sick. Yeah, I suppose as well that if you're already used to working like that, I know you got a lot of shots as well that wasn't just from like the concerts and stuff, obviously, because you was on tour with them for those
and everything.
Yeah, so like I suppose that's like an easier mindset if you're already in that point of like keys, phone, camera, laptop.
Yeah,
like you're already ready, innit?
Exactly that. Yeah, but I think when you ask what I learned, like one thing that I would take away is like a few years ago I was doing video and I almost completely dropped that to like an extent, and I think what this taught me is I should be getting back to that. It taught me that I need to pick up on some things that I left behind in a sense as well. Like just to expand the skill set. Yeah.
Is that what like one thing that if somebody that was listening to this that kind of wants to get into doing like the line of work that you're in, where you're going and touring with artists and you're shooting a lot, that they should start looking at other mediums apart from just like stills?
Learn as much of it as you can is what I think. Like even if you have to learn the music side, I'm not even kidding.
Really?
Just not to do it, but to have an understanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is what just to have an understanding. Just because I think they all correlate so well that you never know what you might like, what other ideas that might bounce off just investigating these other mediums might come from it, you know?
Yeah.
I think like one thing that, like looking from the outside in especially, is that so many people with photography go, oh, I have to have all the gear before I can get put into this game. So like they put themselves out of the game by going, I don't know if I'm going to be good enough anyway to go out and start doing and setting up all of these things and buying all these things. So like the idea of like learning the mediums and going from there for me is it switches the vision on that a lot.
I think that's a mentality thing too. That's not an objective truth. Like, that's completely subjective. If someone believes that they need like such and such a camera to be able to do it, that's just like nonsense, because people with like running around with 10, 20 pound cameras that are shooting some of the biggest artists in the world right now, and they're killing it, you know? Because I had that mentality once upon a time, and now I'm like, I'm happy I got the camera that I got and everything, but I think you make excuses, you put excuses in the way of yourself out of, like you just said, fear.
Yeah.
You know, to like pursue it properly.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
The best thing to do is just go for it. Like.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I was definitely gonna say, because I feel like that's something that we're all guilty of, especially when you're starting to learn out. I know for me as a DJ, I was like, okay, once I get these turntables, like my scratching's gonna sound extra crispy because like that's how I see it in the videos.
Yeah.
And then you get it and you're like, yo, cool, this shit sounds the same. Like what's going on?
Yeah. So you're like that feeling, man, and you're like, wait, I just did this on my old one. And I just saved up all this money to get this one, and you're like, huh?
Yeah, you're like, this shit's supposed to make me better, man. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Go on. So, do you have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna go into because you was mentioning that I saw that when we was looking through your Instagram that your work was featured in ID magazine, and was like you shot all of that on Polaroids, wasn't it? And film.
Oh, I know which pictures you're talking about. Yeah, the Polaroids, those Polaroids are done completely on Polaroid.
Oh, sick.
I like telling people that they're not like digitally done at all, apart from the scan, which is still, I guess that's digital, but manipulating the Polaroids is something I really, really enjoy doing. That's what, I was saying earlier about being more experimental and not like having to confine to one thing too much. Like that was something that I started playing with, was just manipulating Polaroids, and that's something so simple, but not also the fact that it's analog, but the fact you're using your hands and you're not doing the editing on Photoshop.
Yeah.
It makes it feel like you're not doing photography, or you're not doing something in that field, because you're using your hands, you're crafting something with your hands. So it changes the experience completely. Yeah. That's something I would like push people to do, is if you can do something another way as well, like try and experience it the other way. There's like an analog way of doing your craft.
Do you think that that's something that definitely helped get that feature in ID magazine? Because looking at it, like you can tell that it's like a super creative piece of work where like everything's done, and then you can tell that it's scanned in. I could tell straight away that obviously, and then you've wrote over it and stuff like that. Do you feel that if you hadn't approached it in that way, you might not have seen the same results?
Definitely not. I don't know. I think maybe to the untrained eye, you might think that you can probably get the same results otherwise, but I think when you're really tuned to it, you probably can, pick it apart a bit more to realize that it is done completely analog. Yeah.
No, that's sick.
I think I don't want to go too. I think I'm going too technical in my head.
Oh, do it.
If anyone's listening to this, they're only going to understand it if they're like, oh, yeah, photography, yeah. But if they're, what?
Do it. Google exists for people who don't know yet.
That's what we want.
Google exists.
That's what we want, bro. We want like people that just want to like have an into the industry.
Google Translate.
Google Translate.
Translate from camera nerd to English.
It's appreciated. It's very appreciated. One question I had about I guess it applied when I first saw like all the, because again the classic obligatory Instagram search, when I was looking through Instagram and I was seeing like the different vibes and pictures and like moments that you were capturing on the tour, and then in among like the other things you've shot that aren't the portraits.
Mm-hmm.
With those ones, when you're in the room and you got the backpack on and the camera's ready to go, does it feel like you are also in the room, or does it feel like you are just observing the room and like you don't? Yeah, if that makes sense.
I think when you're in the room with them and you're there as a new person, like, and you're a photographer too, it's good to just be a fly on the wall.
Okay.
Like almost you almost want to become so indiscreet at times that when they feel like you're not there, they act completely naturally themselves, and that's when you can capture, people at their fullest. I think there are times you're going to want to grab them and take a portrait, but just really hovering around the room quiet was always, I've always liked doing that. I guess what I like doing at club events too.
Yeah, because we was wondering when we was like going through and we was coming up with like a couple of things that we wanted to ask. And we were saying, does the camera being in the room, if you're like quite loud with it, and as you said, you're not like the fly on the wall, do you think that would hinder the vibe?
No, I think they would have been so used to it by now.
Oh, okay.
I think with these guys, I think they're quite big artists and whatnot, so I think they would have been at a point where they got used to it. Yeah.
But yeah,
it becomes second nature for artists at a certain point when they've always got a camera around them, I think. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because we had a whole debate about how, like, putting ourselves in the shoes of, like, how would I feel if I'm trying to vibe and there was a photographer or a camera there? 24? And
No,
yeah, we see
it is
sort
a
of
good
so
question.
much, but yeah.
It is a good question. I think another way to think of it is like that's their work time for them.
Oh, that's
You know,
true.
like working a 9 to 5, and that's something that comes with it. So they'll probably get used to it. But I'm sure if like I was chasing him down the street when he was like doing his own thing, that would probably become quite annoying. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So you mentioned earlier as well that you've always got like your camera and laptop in the bag. But what else?
Yeah.
What else do you have in like your to go bag kind of thing? Like
In
your essential
my
equipment.
go bag. Essential equipment. Apart from my camera, what's more essential than that?
I don't know, man. Like
you know,
you might need
the
like a little,
headphones.
you might want
Okay,
a little
notepad.
50mm lens or like a long.
Okay, what lenses? Oh no, I always got the 50mm. I always got the 50mm for portraits. Definitely going to be my favorite lens to shoot on because, and like another photographer told me, my mate Brindy, it's the one that's most similar to your eye when taking a shot. So what you see with your eye, once you put up your 50 and you get the shot, it's almost exactly as you saw it when you wanted to take the photo.
Okay,
That's a great lesson.
That's a nice little trick that I like to use. I know a lot of people are always like, 35s, but I like 35s in some occasions, but the 50 for me, when I see something, I usually want it to be exactly as I see it in my eye, and I don't want to have to think about the zoom or anything like that. I just want to be able to pull up and go.
Yeah, I suppose
It's
that's how you...
like.
Carry on, sorry.
I was going to say, just the less you have to think about is the better the shot's going to come out. Because I know a lot of people some people like to be quite technical photographers and know all the ins and outs of the inside of the camera and all that kind of stuff. But that, like, would never make the photo better, having the know-how. But just when you take it down to what the bare minimum of it is, like the essential aspect of it, it's just capturing what you see. Then with a 50mm, when it comes to that, I don't think you can go wrong.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I like the lesson of like just capturing what your eye can see and not getting too technical with it, because that's I definitely know from like the conversations I've heard with people who want to have thought about doing photography is like that's how they X themselves out of it by like, oh, I need to learn about all the ins and outs and all of that. Yeah, so that's again another gem for people. Again, scrolling back to your Insta, Boiler Room.
Yeah.
How is it being in such a, like, what the world observes as sometimes being like a super intense musical experience?
Yeah.
With the
How
camera?
was it like? Mate, I had such a good time that week. I had so much fun that week, man. It's hot and it's bothering. I couldn't get through some of the crowds. It's intense, but luckily, like the guys that I was shooting for weren't too mad about stuff like that, But for some, it was intense. That was another one. A lot of people. Can't remember the last time I've seen that amount of people in one room.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Especially now.
I get scared going to Tesco now.
Stand outside IKEA and hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, just before we wrap up with you, we always like to ask everybody some like specific recommendations. So I suppose for us it would be, we've got two things. One, that somebody that can take away that wants to get into the photography industry, specifically working with in music.
Yeah.
And then the next one would be just a general music recommendation. What have you been listening to that you've been loving at the moment?
Recommendation. All right, cool. First one, when it comes to wanting to get into an industry, especially with like music photography, best thing to do is just go out there, take photos and share it. It's as simple as that. You just take the photos, put them out and share it, because you never know who might see it. When I got not contracted, but I'm on the freelancer list for Universal, so they send me quite a bit of work through them. But that came about just through a friend on Facebook who, like, when I met them at the time, wasn't working at Universal,
but ended
up working at Universal. And there was a period where I was out every single day. I was uploading a different photo, regardless of what it was, even if it was just street photography, something down the park, just friends. Wasn't even specific to like music or fashion. They still picked up on the energy of the work ethic and just the way the photos looked. They knew they would vibe with certain artists on the label, and I think that just the work ethic and that alone, putting them up online, that's got me quite a lot of clients through them, like good clients. So that's one thing, networking, getting out, talking to people, not being afraid to ask for people's numbers, not being afraid to hit them up when you want things. Not when you want things, but if you think you got something you can give them too, that's always good. It's always good to exchange, because that's how life works, and it's tit for tat. So, yeah.
That's a good one, because again, it addresses a lot of the insecurities or hurdles people put in front of themselves with stuff like that.
Yeah, I suppose that comes back around to what you were saying at the beginning as well, where it's kind of, if someone sees your name come up for something that you want to be known for 3 or 4 times, then they're going to start to remember you for that anyway.
Exactly.
And then your music recommendation, G, what have you been really loving at the moment?
This is gonna be a weird one because I've like, for some reason, just started taking an interest in what's going on in other countries and whatnot now.
Okay.
I want to hear like the Latino rap. I want to hear Chinese rap.
Yo.
So I've just been, honestly, I never have listened to that, like other countries' music.
Do you know
but
I respect that energy.
Someone put me into Dutch rap the other day. And like, obviously I can't understand anything that they're saying, but the flows, like you just listen to it and appreciate that, innit? Yeah,
you can still appreciate the flows. Some of them do have some English mention, but then yeah.
Is there a particular song or album that's in the recently played?
Tizo Touchdown.
Okay.
I think he's underground. Like I've only discovered him in the last week. So I posted something of him, and when I see people resharing music, I like checking it out.
Yeah.
But Tizo Touchdown was someone I listened to. He's got about 3 singles on IG, so I think he's pretty sick. And then also Baby Keem.
Oh, everyone loves Baby Keem.
Yeah. Everyone loves Baby Keem.
I can imagine the energy just listening to Baby Keem.
That's on me a lot. Yeah.
Nah, that's strong. That's so weird, because today I had that exact same thought, and I was chatting to people on my day job, and we ended up just sharing French rap albums with each other, purely just like off the vibe we were getting, like 30 seconds Spotify play. And it's like, I vibe with this. Press play for the whole thing. Yeah. And then hilariously, I have some solid Korean trap music playlist. If anyone knows,
Korean as well.
Korean trap music it's been going since 2017, and it's a vibe.
That's it. G-My, is that all that like underwater squad stuff? Yeah.
Keith Ape and all of that.
I haven't even checked into that in a while.
Do you know what? I thought
the same.
I thought the same, and it's still going. The energy is still there.
Who was the Ramen Boys? Does anyone remember?
What, Ramen Boys?
Ramen Boys.
That thing, That's a hard name still.
See, do you know what? I back that energy. I'm going to continue listening to French rap music today.
Fair, bro.
I might have to take your
Man,
recommendations.
music crosses all boundaries, man. That's the best thing about it.
That's so true.
Anyway, my G, thanks for taking time out to come and chat to us today, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite, bro. Thanks. This is a whole new experience for me, man, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
I've seen you as well, man. Throughout lockdown, I saw you doing your work, bro, but I was thinking, this guy from the beginning, dropping their mixtapes, doing the interviews. I'm like, this is just like introverted genius at work. Like,
we're trying, man. We're trying.
Honestly, man, you smashed it, bro. You smashed it. Oh, man. Good work, man. Good work.
My G. Thank you, bro. We'll link up soon, yeah?
Yeah, man. Man.
I'll catch you in a bit.
Cool, man. In a bit, guys. In a bit. Cool.
All right, before we wrap up, what's your music recommendation?
I'm sticking to that.
Oh, you're sticking
French
to that?
rap, bro. It's hard.
All right, I'm doing a shameless plug then this week.
All right,
I'm
Plug
doing a
your
shameless
shit.
plug my shit. I dropped 2 new playlists on Spotify. As you may have known, that we're always shouting about Tidal, but everyone uses Spotify, so
we're plugging us right now. Plug yourself, King.
Yeah, we had to jump on Spotify. So for everyone that loves and listens to Spotify, got 2 new playlists. We got Sunday Off the Source, which is like an R&B, soul soothing, just good vibes, good wholesome vibes. And then we got the Drive Slow Homie playlist. And that's just like laid back hip hop. So that's my 2 recommendations. There's probably about 8-9 hours worth of music there.
That's what we need on these
Good
days.
vibes.
My recommendation, I'm going hard French rap. Real grimy. Pull your black bandanas out for this one.
Oh, jeez.
It's a rapper called Karis, Kaaris, and the album's called Dozo. And he's rapping real hard. It's an album from 2017. Once I hit translate quick enough, I'll tell you what he's rapping about, unless we don't condone such behavior. But otherwise, play the album.
Yo, I did this. Wait, I used to live with a French girl. Shouts to her. And I was listening to bare French rap before she came over. She was like, "What's this filth you're listening to?" I was like, "Yo, I don't know what it says." She translated it to me, and I was like, "Nah, these guys are on fuckery."
Until further notice, that is my energy.
That's the energy. And we're out.
We out. Like, share. I want you to share it again. That's what we need. Pull up the share button.
Pull it. You heard
We
them.
have been
Pull up
Sam
the
12
share
Notes,
button.
part 2. Shout out to Jobe for the legendary interview. Thank you for sharing the gems.
Yeah, we're going to try and continue to have as many guests on as possible to give you an insight into different parts of the industry as well.
And go find all of these people on Instagram. Jobe is jobe.karam on Instagram. See bare sick pictures. And we're Same 12 Notes.
Safe.